Good evening. Wonderful to see some Toastmasters online right now. And hello to all Toastmasters who are going to catch up with this on YouTube later. This is going to be a deep dive into the role of Division Director at Toastmasters, and particularly pertinent right now because we're reaching the deadline for nominations to stand for Division Director for 2024-25. And we have a very qualified panel here tonight. Emily McQuillen was Division Director of the Year last year. Emily, just give a wave and
hello.
Make sure everybody can see you, even though your name is right there. Emily's been a member since 2016, and her club is MLP London Bridge Speakers, and she's currently club secretary, but she's done loads of things for the division and, in fact, for the district. She's been an area director, she's been district administration manager and Division C Director of the Year last year. We have John Akers. John, make sure everybody can see you, who has been a Toastmaster for coming up to 10 years. And he's a member of Angel Speakers. He's been a president, a VPE, a secretary. And last year, he was division director for Division L. And he'd had some experience before as an assistant division director and an area director. And last but not least, we have Guler. Guler, where are you? Guler Cortis, who is a current division director. She's been a Toastmaster for 7 years with Speakers of Croydon and now also Tyne Toastmasters. And it will be very interesting to hear what's happening right now as a division director. We thought that the way we would really like to get into this topic is to have quite a loose conversation. And as we cover various parts of the role or various topics on it, we would invite you, the audience, to ask questions as well, not to leave it all to the end. This is a conversation. We have 1 hour to express everything that we can to encourage those of you who are qualified to think about standing as a division director and even filling in the forms and declaring your interest by the 19th of February. So I think, the only thing I've left out is I am a Toastmaster as well, and I have been a division director. And I too was a division director of the year, but in the olden days. I think that was in 2016 for Division B. And I have done several roles. I've done all the roles in the clubs, area director as well, conference. And I sort of hang around in front of the camera quite often to get involved with these sort of panels and things. So there are 4 of us here. We're going to have a chat. And we're going to start off discussing what made us take on this role. So why don't, Guler, you start, because it's the most current thing. You've only been at it for about 6 months.
7 months.
7 months.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Hi, Myra. I see a lot of faces. Julie, Alan, everyone else. Okay, so I started, well, 7 months ago, but of course it was similar time last year where I started filling in the form. And I remember when I was an area director of H15, and very early on, our current division director then was like, oh, are you going to think about being a division director? And I go, please don't ask me that, because I just want to be a really good area director, because you want to concentrate on doing a job well. And I wasn't my mind was not there to think about it. But then coming to this time and where we had to send the application in, it just felt natural because the role of area director was flowing. Had my relationships with the clubs was really good. We were, on target with our goals. And it just felt a very natural thing to do without having to have people pushing you, please, please, please. It was just a natural move. And the most exciting thing is filling in the form, because it feels like a real job interview. No.
John, was it the same for you, or were you bullied by somebody to do it, or was it your journey to a DTM, or what was your...
Well, really, what it was, I'd been an area director when we had all the government restrictions from 20 to 21, and it was Arno Sartre, the incoming director, who prompted me to become an area director because he'd heard some good things about me, or so he said. So I became an area director. And then my division director that year stood again for division director and got it. So I was her assistant the following year. And I was going to leave it at that, actually. But then Arno got in touch with me again and said, John, why don't you put yourself forward for division director? So I thought, well, yes, okay, why don't I? So I did. And I'm really glad I did, because I got so much out of it. And no doubt we'll come to that topic later in this discussion. So I was really prompted rather than deciding to go for it on my own volition, as it were.
Emily, you're going to have to tell us too, because I'm going to make a shameful admission when it comes to, I'm going to take my turn after you, because it's quite embarrassing why I stood as division director.
Look forward to that story. Well, both sides actually. There was a side I wanted to be a division director. I actually I applied twice. So there was the first year that I applied, and it was a contested election, and I didn't get it. So that's when I did the role of district administration manager. And a bit like John, I thought, oh, I'll leave it as that. I want a break now. And Arno said, well, why don't you run for it again? So I think it was a role that I wanted to do, but then having someone, ask you, it does push you to do it. And I am really glad that I did do it. I think it's probably out of the 3 district leader roles I did, area director and admin manager, it was the one I enjoyed the most in division director. So I like getting involved. I like the planning, the strategy side of it, and I think that the division director role was probably the most creative, and getting involved in planning, strategy in the district. So yeah, that's why I applied.
You were pretty good at it, because I'm in the division that you were the division director for. So I experienced it. I have a terrible story to tell. I think this is a reflection on me, and I probably should leave this call immediately. But I was a member of a club that had a history of area directors, and then the area directors becoming division directors. So I looked at my more senior Toastmasters, and I thought, well, not only can I do that, maybe I can do it even better. That isn't really a reflection on them, it's a reflection on me. So that's how I became an area director. And then they were fighting their way up the ranks. So then I followed the next year. And that is not denying what it gave me, it's just admitting what a rather sad person I probably am. But they didn't stop people asking me to chair this panel, so here we are.
But just to go into what you just said, Jill, about wanting to do the job better, I don't think it's a bad thing to think like that, because I think it's a creative role, and any role you take in Toastmasters, whether it be a club or area or district or any role, we forget that nothing is set in stone, and we can create this role how we want it to be. Because that's where where that excitement of doing the role, because it gives you the learning, but it gives you opportunities to do it slightly different from last year, but always keep the district goals in mind and know why we are Toastmasters.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite self-deprecating, but in fact, it's the opportunity to build on the good things of people who've gone before, to see what really did work and see if you can maneuver your district, your club or your area, depending on where you are in your roles, to be bigger and better, and of course meet goals that you've set at the beginning of the year, which, you know, make you competitive with yourself as well. So I think so. So I'm sure anybody considering being a division director here, we need to get to the point. The point is, what does this role entail? I'm going to have to step back from this one a little bit because it's really a long time ago that I was a division director, and of course everything grows and develops. Guler, you're right in it now. What right now are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yes, what division?
Well, as a division director, I'm really leading, supporting area directors on one side. So I'm supporting the area directors to get the district goal and our missions and the clubs gaining success, keeping the fun in, make sure we get new members. Yeah, so that's one side. And then, of course, the other side is looking at the district as a whole, supporting the district leaders, our district trios, and Nikita in VPPR. So you're in the middle of it. So I want to be the face that connects the two sides, and that's what we need to think of as a division director. And I've explained this before, you know, we have this lovely evaluation sandwich, and we are the ham in the middle. So
the meaty middle.
The meaty middle. So it's really learning what the district as a whole wants to achieve, but at the same time, be that incredible support the clubs in your area needs. And that's where I've spoken to you about it before, is be visible, be very visible in, okay, you don't have to walk into every club meeting, but try to be there. First of all, encourage and be there for your area directors. So visit area contests, visit the area COTS, get speaking time, and make that role stand for something that supports our entire district and our wonderful members.
Thank you. John and Emily, you've had time to reflect, to look back on how much time it took, which elements you enjoyed. Do you want to just throw yourself into the arena and talk about how the time, the effort, the focus, what interested you most, or what difference you made in the division when you were division directors? Just fight to speak.
Yeah, I can go. Well, I guess, yeah, building on what Guler said about what the role entails, I guess anyone that might be considering running for division director, you probably have been area director, currently area director, or maybe at least on the club committee. So in a comparison to that, at the beginning of the year, you may look at what the situation is with your club or with your area. But in this case, you're just looking at the whole division. So you're looking at, you might 20, 25 clubs and your membership. And I guess it's your role to come up with an objective and a vision for the year, and then work with your team, with your area directors to make that happen. So I think it's the role where you most are like really leading the team and driving the vision for the year. As well, you are, I guess, working very closely with the district leadership team, with the DLT, and working closely with the district mission. So we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. So you have a chance to get involved in some club growth activities. If you have an idea for a new club, or maybe there's new clubs in the making, and that's quite fun. You know, if there's new clubs on the way, it's exciting to just to see them grow, to see them start. So I think that was one of the most sort of exciting things to get involved in, was that extra than what you might do as an area director, even though you probably might be involved in doing that as an area director as well. So in terms of what I managed to achieve, I think at the beginning of the year, I think there's things that you think that are going to happen, and obviously there's always unexpected things that occur, and I think it is about building with relationships. I think that's really something that to always remember in any role, is that important to just build those relationships from the start, because you are leading that team, and that's the one that's going to help you to achieve everything at the end.
John, pile in.
Yes, well, with regard to the time management aspect of it, there's no doubt that the role does involve a reasonably substantial commitment of time and effort, but that time commitment is totally doable. You have to learn a little bit of time management skills, but it's completely doable. You can fit it in with a full-time job if you have to. And there's a tremendous amount of support and training available from the district and from your fellow division directors. One thing which tremendously helped me when I was a division director last year was that we had our own division directors WhatsApp group, and we all helped each other with our trainings, with our district, with our division trainings and our TLIs, and also with our contests as well. We helped each other with the contest. We got involved with the contest, and it's all a tremendous team effort, and that's really the whole ethos of Toastmasters, I think, is collaboration. And you'll really experience that when you become an area director, you will, but when you become a division director especially, so you'll really make lots of friends and contacts, and you'll expand your whole awareness of and interest in Toastmasters. And I'd just like to endorse what Guler said about getting known to the clubs. I think that's really important, even though it's not your role to actually visit the clubs. That's the area director's role. But I made a point of visiting as many clubs that I could. I'm not based in London, so I couldn't visit them all if they'd gone back to face-to-face meetings. But I did make sure that I went along to all the contests, because all the area contests had to be hybrid. So I'm always there at the contest to get myself known. And also, if you help out, I actually came down to London for a couple of contests as well to be chief judge, for example. That gets you known as well, and just be a presence as well as the area directors, so that the clubs get to know you. And also, as Emily said, you have to support the area directors as well, and you build team leadership skills doing that. And all in all, it's a tremendous experience. I'm so glad I did it, and I see that Arno is on the call now. I'd like to say a big shout out to Arno to thank him for encouraging me to stand for this role. So thank you, Arno. And
should all burst into applause for Arno encouraging people, which is part of the role of division director, and a very important part in encouraging people. You're encouraging your area directors. It's a leadership opportunity. It's finding ways to fire your team, basically, and therefore it's a very valuable tool to get under your belt. I find personally, when people say, isn't that a lot of work, I just have a routine with whatever I'm involved in, whatever project, to have a little bit of thinking time every day, tiny bit, about each project that I'm doing, Toastmasters, work, any other concern that I might have, and then maybe allocating just even 10 minutes a day. And it's amazing how much one can get done in this type of role if you give it a thought regularly and maybe frequently, rather than allowing things to pile up that you're not going to put your mind to at all, not even in a passing thought. And then it's some huge mound of panic and work and deadlines, etc. So that's how I approach most things, and certainly did. Even I can remember the days of being a division director, even though my information is not as current as my team here, my panel. I've seen that, Julie, do you want to ask your own question, or shall I read your question out? Do you want to unmute and ask the question you've put in the chat?
I put two questions in the chat.
Oh, yeah. there's
The first one is the division director responsible for organising any sort of training? I know the area directors do the COTS, but do they do any, senior leadership training? And do they themselves have any special training sessions that they can go to?
Palin, one of you
Yeah.
three masterminds.
Happy to answer that, Julie. So the as division directors, we have to organize what we call the TLI, the Training Leadership Institute. And I mean, pre-COVID, it was always, of course, somewhere in a lovely location. And I don't know exactly how that worked because that was before my time. But now the last ones we did was we just did it with a bundle of a couple of division directors together. So it doesn't have to be each division director responsible for their own training. You can bundle them up. So the last one we did online, which I believe you attended, was 4 division directors, and we brought 6 hours of training, which really, really worked well. We had good attendance, and from which, of course, any member can attend. And any club officers were, of course, given the credit for club training, which always requires 3 hours minimum. So that is the training side of things, and that will be done, of course, like the COT for the area, in the summer and in the winter. And then you have in between, and that's the district executive committee has got training in between as well. For the division directors and the area directors, remember the area directors and division directors are part of the district executive committee, and we all have training together. Yeah, and then you've got the two, they call it DOT, district officers training, instead of club officers training. So there's 2 of them each year as well. I'm gonna keep this open for John and Emily to throw some.
Yeah, as I say, obviously that's with the area directors as well. So I guess the same training is given to division and area directors. In terms of anything specific for division directors, I mean, John mentioned having, a group. So I guess it's kind of doing it yourself, finding your team, your other division directors to help each other. But also there probably will be regular catch-ups with the district leadership team. So then there is an opportunity for, I guess, some sort of ad hoc training sessions and support there, so from the DLT as well as the district officer training.
So do we have any questions at this stage of this meeting? Thank you, Alan. If you'd like to unmute, that's great.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much. I think at the moment, I want to be a support to Julie as she goes forward. I mean, she's going to be area director possibly next year, and I want to support her. Is there a supporting role I can take to help her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's assistant area director, which you can take, Alan. And in fact, the area director can have several assistants, I believe, getting involved with different aspects of the role. So there are lots of opportunities for supporting area directors directly, and for division directors too, if Julie does go on to become a division director. Okay. I mean, I was an assistant division director before I became a division director.
Right. Thank you very much.
Lynn, sorry, Alan, did you want to just conclude?
Yes, sorry to jump in, Lynn. I've got a couple of things. Also, I take it there's Guler and Emily are at the moment current divisional directors. Where are they going next?
Well, let me just recap. Guler is current and Emily and John are immediate past division directors.
Okay.
So
Can I ask Guler then if she's got any intention of going further?
I'd love to, but I can't. I've got to go back to basic and become a club president before I can even apply for another role in the trio.
So watch this space. Guler will be there. Well, she'll be standing in a year or so. We'll see her. Do I have any? Oh, yes, I did. Lynn, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, I did, and it was to do with the supporting roles because John said he was assistant division director. Yeah, I have seen up to 4 sort of assistants. And I was wanted to ask, I mean, maybe Guler, who's current, and maybe Emily and John, who did it last year. Did you just have 1 assistant, or did you have 4? Because I've seen up to 4 assistants. The club growth, the program quality, the PR and events. I mean, how many did you have, and what has worked? So a question to all 3 of you, actually. Maybe Guler for start off because she's doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, when I was area director, I had 1 assistant who helped me with all the paperwork, notes of the meetings, help organizing events. And that really worked well as a team. And again, I think it really depends on how much time you have, because if you feel you're a good delegator and you can have an assistant for each chapter of responsibility, go for it. Yeah, but don't forget, you still have to then oversee that as well, because you still over responsibility. So that is the same for division. I have 1 assistant who helps me more on the checking on pathway educational programs. So that's how I work. But that's the thing you need to keep in mind, because we're already looking after and supporting the area directors. It's sometimes if you have too many people at the top, it can get all messy. So be very clear in all the responsibilities you would give out.
Emily, did you have an assistant?
For division director, I didn't actually have an official assistant, so I guess you don't have to. But I think it's definitely something. If I did the role again, I would try to get one. I think, you know, the more people involved, the better. Yes, you mentioned there's obviously lots of up to 4 that you can have. I think there's the 2 top ones, program quality and club growth, and I think that actually mirrors the trio structure, so you can sort of replicate how the district is run essentially.
Yeah, I have to say I was very grateful after a few months being division director to be able to appoint an assistant, and it was hugely useful, and it made a huge difference, even as a sounding board, just as that extra little voice saying, you're okay, or I'll help you with that. That was brilliant. I'm going to ask Pearl, who has had her hand up for ages. You had a question, I think.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. This question is directed at Guler, who is actually my division director. And I just want to ask, you know, at club level, the presidents and staff have the area director that looks after them, and we have you looking after us. So who is looking after the division directors, and how does that work from a support system point of view? Or you're just in the middle? Because earlier on you explained about the fact that you want to, you know, you are the ham in the sandwich. But tell me, how do you get support, please?
I get a lot of support from, like we said earlier as well, it came out. The division directors are supporting each other, and of course a lot of support from the district director, Diane, Steve, and Mo. So yes, they are there. I have regular calls with either Steve or Diane, and they're checking in, and we go through it. And also we do have meetings as well all together every month. So there is the support there. But again, we forget, sometimes we get so involved in our own work, we forget to ring the bell. So, and again, that is the responsibility of the trio then, to really identify and see the people that need that support, isn't it? Because sometimes people don't ring the bell and they just continue, and they may get too overwhelmed and lose track. So yes, there is the support. Thank you.
And Joseph, you've also had your hand up quite a long time. So over to you.
So as a role, the division director would be supporting the district in its mission, that is in creating new clubs and in helping the existing clubs achieve excellence. But at one point, I would imagine that a division director would need to beef up the strategy in order to achieve this. What steps have you taken in your role as division director to achieve this?
Let's ask Emily or John or both, because they've had time to reflect on their year.
Yeah, so the strategy of working towards the district mission, yeah, is that essentially the question there? Yeah, so as I mentioned before, this is an action that you would take at the beginning of the year to come up with the strategy and having that district mission in mind. So in terms of new clubs, it's brainstorming where you can have new clubs starting, where in the division there might be opportunities for new clubs. And this is when you work with the district trio, like the club growth director or even the district director, because they might have club leads. So you can work alongside them in building, growing a lead there. With your area directors, they might even have a lead within their own club. So I think that is how the brainstorming, making a plan of where the new club might come up. Then the other side, obviously, supporting the clubs in achieving excellence, because it's looking at the health of your clubs in the division. We're doing a SWOT analysis where the strengths may be and where things need work on. You know in which area director needs work on and which clubs are going to need the support. It might be that you need to get a club coach for a particular club, or you might want to help run an event for them, and it's giving the ideas to the area directors. Because it's all about having the plan at the beginning, and then working with the people that you need to make it happen.
John, we've had a question that I can see on chat, and I'd love you, as you've also had time to reflect. The question is, what is the hardest decision you've had to make, or you did have to make as a division director? Is it
the hardest decision? Well, I think the hardest thing really was exactly how to allocate my time, because there are times when the pace is a bit more frenetic than at other times, and you just have to be very you have to sharpen up your time management skills in those times. For example, it's often quite busy when you're putting together a contest, and you might have a situation whereby an area contest is due, for example, and not a lot of progress has been made by the area director concerned in that contest, and the contest is in about 10 days and nothing seems to have been done. So then you have to make sure that you step in and give that area director the support that he or she needs to deliver that contest on time. Or in the particular case that I'm thinking of, without naming any names, of course, it was actually necessary to put the contest back a little bit to give the area director a bit more time to put things together, and then to step in and actually provide the support that was needed to enable the goal of delivering the contest for that area in a timely manner. So you just have to be prepared to get more involved from time to time if you need to, and you have to be careful not to tread on the area director's toes too much, because the area director might think that you are usurping the role. So you have to practice some diplomacy as well. So I think that was the hardest time that I had, but we got through it in the end, and the contest got delivered, and everyone was happy. So it all worked out well in the end.
Emily, have you got any anecdotes?
Of a difficult decision. I think there was there's a club that we didn't expect to struggle in my year, and I guess it's having to make that decision whether to continue supporting, putting all your efforts into trying to keep it alive, or just accepting that that's now the state of that club, and there's other opportunities to get involved in, because it is about prioritizing. You can't do it all, and you're not the one that's going to be running the club, so you have to accept their decision and move on to something else.
Guler, I'm going to ask you, Guler, because Julie has asked whether you were given lots of info on the status of each club when you started up, or did you have to go and dig around yourself for it? I mean, it should be a handover matter, I would imagine, but how was it for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a handover matter, and it is good when your previous division director sits with you and you literally look at the whole portfolio of the clubs, and look at the ones who maybe are of concern, especially when they are going to maybe fall below the 8 members.
Yeah.
And I think that is really very important to highlight, so that the new division director and the area director can set, together with the district as well, with the club growth director, work on a plan for that in the year. But remember, everyone can see everything at any one point now on the dashboards on TMI. So if you wanted to look at what any club is doing, you can see it already. Yes, so it is to do with the handover.
Sorry, I interrupted you just before the end, but Alan, you have your hand up again. Do you want to fire your question?
Yes, sorry, I've got 2 questions. The first one's to Emily, yourself, Jill, and for John. What current roles do you do at the moment?
I start?
I'm
like a roving helper. Basically, I'm president. I'm not president. I'm not even immediate past president, because we have funny years. I'm a former president of City Limit Speakers. I didn't announce which my current club is. And I'm VP of membership. I'm literally a roving helper. Whenever I'm called to do a panel discussion or an interview, I do it. I have been asked whether I would nominate myself to be on the trio many, many times. It happens that I have a big role on a summer festival in Italy, exactly over the period when the district team are very busy. So I can't do it. John, do you want to fill in? I didn't.
Yes, I'm not actually taking any leadership roles as such this year, Alan. I'm taking a little bit of a break. That's not to say that I won't be doing things in the future. I've joined another club. I'm a member now of Sussex Online Speakers, because my original club has gone back to all wholly face-to-face meetings, and I'm not based in London at the moment. But I've taken on a couple of committee roles, though. I'm on the conference registration committee, and I'm also on one of the finance committees concerned with validating expense claims and things like that. So I'm doing something, but not overt leadership roles in the way that I was last year and the previous years.
Emily?
Yes. So currently I am club secretary for my club. So I guess I've gone back into a club committee. So in terms of, I guess, the official district leadership roles, I'm taking a break. I am supporting the district as credentials chair. So in our district executive committee meetings. So I'm taking a role there. But in terms of, I guess, what I think you're probably getting at, what's next? Why aren't you doing another role? Why are you going to do another role? Well, before I was division director, I did, area director and district admin manager. So I had 3 years as district leader, and I decided to take a break. Not to say I won't go back. Maybe I'll go for another role at another time. But it is a year of reflection, let's say.
Tell me, panel, did you find the role what you expected before you took it on? Who wants to fire away into that? Guler, we haven't heard from you for a little while.
Okay. Yes, I did expect the role to be what I thought it would be. It is a lot of hard work, but it's fun. I just love it. I just think it's so much fun. I just love seeing clubs doing well, or seeing, like we just talked about, maybe struggling clubs. I mean, it was straight away #1 in August. We had identified 3 clubs that needed a coach, and I was on it for so long that we had made sure that all 3 clubs have got a coach assigned. So it's like, put something in vision of that it is just a must, and it's just so nice when that works out, and you can see the difference, and we hope the clubs are going to be even bigger and more successful, because it is a shame to lose clubs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I knew what was happening.
You mentioned something, and I just want to take it further from my own perspective.
Yeah.
That is, I've taken a lot from Toastmasters. It's done a huge amount for me. And it's my pleasure, really, truly my pleasure, to give back, to be quite a consummate mentor for people. And that's where I get my pleasure, not from taking, but for giving, because I know what was given to me, and it helped me hugely, really hugely. But going to Emily and John, when you took on the role, was it what you expected, or even when you ended the role, was it as you had expected it to be?
Yes, I knew what it was going to be, because I've been an assistant division director the year before, and I worked closely with Sarita Yadav, who was the division director when I was an area director and when I was assistant division director. So I knew very well what the role was going to be, and there were no real surprises. It was a bit more time consuming than I thought it was going to be, but again, you just have to sharpen up your time management skills. But I'd just like to endorse something that you said, Jill, and that I've actually got a tremendous amount out of doing the role. And it's actually shown me that I have abilities that I didn't know that I possessed, in terms of leading a team, which I didn't think I could do. I never thought that as one of my strengths, and I turned out to be actually quite good at that after all. And the other thing it's taught me is the importance of actually collaborating with other people. I've always been a kind of person who's done everything himself and has never asked for help. And if you take that view as a division director, the job is impossible, because you cannot do it all on your own. There's far too much to do. You have to reach out to other people and build alliances and relationships with your fellow division directors and area directors, and you help them and they will help you back, and then the whole job becomes doable. And that's really taught me that really valuable lesson. So I've got a tremendous amount out of it. I'm so glad I did it, and I'm not ruling out doing it again at some future point, because looking back on it now, I can see some things. Oh, I should have done that, or I should have done this, and if I did it again, this is what I do here, and so on. But yeah, it's been very, very worthwhile year indeed, and I thoroughly recommend it to anyone here who might be considering just to do it, because there's so much support available too, and training. So definitely go for it.
And Emily?
Yeah, it was expected in terms of all the activities that we had to do. As I'd been area director, admin manager. So I guess particularly as admin manager, you're working closely with the division directors themselves in that role. So you do have more of an understanding. And I guess with most roles, you can, I guess, map out the whole year. And I think I guess if you're considering division director again, you've probably done another district role, likely. So I think that part has got to be similar, and you can easily map that out. The things that are unexpected, it's always the people really that you meet, which it could be, it's good experiences because you meet people that you never knew before. There's maybe always going to be some challenges with with certain people, and that's kind of really the only unexpected part of it. But I guess that's just life in any role. So I guess that helps you to grow as well.
Yeah. Mara has asked a question, and it's already been touched upon, and it's certainly a question I think we'd all like to explore, and that is, how do you feel the role of division director developed you as a person? Now, John mentioned something he might want to add to that, but Guler, how do you feel it's enhancing your development by being a division director?
I mean, I think AD and now division has made me, I just feel a much stronger, I mean, I'm not saying stronger leader, but I think more confident in what I want and how I can communicate to others to get what I want. And that is not just for Toastmasters, it's for in your own workspace. And I mean, having been in Toastmasters, not so long ago, our HR department, clapped me on my shoulder and said, Guler, we hear about Toastmasters and let's start a club. So it's so exciting. And if you can bring that vision to people who don't know about Toastmasters, that's what it's given, because it's given, again, your ability to communicate it in such a way where people are excited to join the club. So yeah,
on my personal level, that question is quite interesting, because I always say there's more to life than Toastmasters. Of course, we all know people whose whole life could be Toastmasters. And I find that right from the very beginning, when I was trying to get over huge nervousness when I spoke in public and hating answering an impromptu question, and that prepared speeches were an impossibility, I was always developing myself for life, not just for Toastmasters. And so it went on. Area director gave me a new set of skills for life. And division director certainly consolidated for me that I could be a leader. I had been a leader in real life, but I had imposter syndrome, and there were areas that were really difficult for me in terms of self-belief. By taking on the roles in Toastmaster, and we're now talking about division directors, which is a leadership role, it's a fantastic way of giving you confidence in yourself. We're all probably leaders. We're all probably enormously capable of being leaders in life, but we just don't know it. And this is just a fantastic opportunity for self-development. I don't know. I don't think you've had an opportunity to add your thoughts on it, Emily.
Yeah, I think maybe one thing in particular that I think I grew confidence on is managing events. I know I see, in the past year, you see area directors, really worried about running their contest, and I do understand and feel that pain and pressure. And I think being division director, and I guess watching or supporting the area directors, knowing what it was like to be in their shoes, but then obviously then having to run my own event as well, so running up the division conference, which had to be ideally a ticketed event to cover the cost of the venue. So that was even more added pressure. And I think the first one I was really worried, no one's going to turn up, we're not going to make any money, this is blah 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 blah. But then by the time it got to the second one, I felt better. Okay, that's fine, we can just do this all again. So I think that one thing in particular, I think I grew more confident in being able to manage events in future.
did any of my co-panelists ever think about this as just a means to the end of getting a Distinguished Toastmaster Award? Or was it nothing that just became as an extra as you progressed, but the satisfaction of being the division director was for the division director role in its own right?
Well, can I answer that, Jill? Actually, I was a division director just before I became I was a distinguished Toastmaster just before I became a division director, and in a sense, I was quite lucky because the last time when you could use in the old program, I got my DTM under the old program, and the last year when you could do the leadership part of the old program finished in June 2020, so I'd missed it under the old program, and then when the restrictions came in, that the leadership track was extended for one more year. So I thought, oh, I could actually I didn't need to be an area director because I'd been a pathways guide previously, and that counted for a year of district service. So that was okay. But I hadn't coached a club. So I thought, well, if I become an area director, as Arno kindly invited me to do, that might help me find a club to coach. And if I also do a high performance leadership project as well, that would get me over the barrier for a DTM because I'd done everything in the communication track. So partly I was motivated by becoming a DTM as well, partly, but not entirely. I mean the benefits that I've gained have far outstripped getting the DTM award. The DTM is a certificate, but the real benefits of getting the DTM certificate is the things that you have to do to get you to that level, the experiences that you have, the roles that you take on. That's where the real benefits of becoming a DTM lie, rather than just the certificate itself.
I think that's a great answer. And I'm going to just ask you another question that's come up on the chat, which is a quick throwaway thing. It's like a table topic. You're going to have to think quickly because we're going to run out of time. And that is, who, why, or how has somebody had a tremendous impact on you as a leader? A person or something that, an event or something that's been done that's impacted you, maybe led you to make decisions, or who is your, who you are a fan of?
Well, my Toastmaster fan, and I'm talking about Toastmaster, that really I looked up to that person so much, and I thought I could never sit in that chair. There was Andy Hammond. He was amazing. He was, and I always thought he was like a god.
Well, I'm sad he's not.
No, I know. Well, that's it. But you don't know. I've heard it before. People look at us as we are so senior. So please don't see us as senior. We're all at the same level. We're just having different responsibilities. But of course, 7 years ago, I didn't see it that way. I thought, oh my God, I could never become like him. And he's just an inspiration.
Emily, an inspiration, somebody who inspired you?
Yes, I think about when I first wanted to be a division director. I guess at the time, who my current division director was, Nadia, that inspired me in the way that our division was run. She had the full complement of assistant division directors, around division council meetings. So that was inspiring itself. And then again, last year, the district director, Rupert, I think, was helped me in my role to be a better leader.
John, do you have a standout person or an event?
Yes, I do actually. It's not so much when I was a division director, but when I was an area director in 2020, I was very apprehensive about having to run these contests. I thought, how on earth do I do this? So I read up on Toastmasters literature and on the website and everything. And I better get involved in some actual contests and volunteer to be a judge. And the person who helped me inadvertently, I don't think she's on the call tonight, was the Division A director from 2020 to 21, Antonia Harrison. And she was the chief judge at the very first contest I participated in. And once I saw her in action, she organized that so well and so capably that gave me a kind of template as how I could arrange my contest as well. So Antonia helped me a great deal, although I don't think she knows how much she has helped me. So if she's ever listens to this recording, thank you, Antonia.
Well, I hope that all three of your inspiring names get to hear, even if it's secondhand or even third hand, about what you felt about their influence on you. That's really fantastic. We've got 3 minutes. So for 1 minute, it's a technical question. I'm not 100% sure of the answer. I think I know the answer, but Julie asked, is it possible to be an area director and an assistant division director at the same time? In my day, i.e. in 2015-16, it was, because that was the status of my assistant division director. Does anybody put 100% yes to that question?
Yes.
I see nodding heads. We have 2 minutes left. I think that we probably have really reached the end of the session. And I have to say that I'm, again, really, really grateful to my panel of Emily, Guler, and John for stepping up to the plate at very short notice, for all of our audience who've come online at very short notice, and Nikita and Rachel, who are superstars, because it didn't seem like we would get Zoom masters and techies on board at 3 days, 2 days notice, but they stood up. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much. And unless somebody has something burning that they want to say in the last minute and a bit, or 1 minute now, please speak, because otherwise we'll be saying our goodbyes. And I hope that this session has given all of you some inspiration, maybe some impetus to put yourself forward. And if not, to recommend to your friends or chivvy your friends on to nominate themselves as possible division directors and to stand for election. So thank you all very, very much.